So what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Robert. If this is your first time tuning in, so in today's video, we're going to be covering another unconventional side hustle, another way to make some money. A lot of people right now are looking for extra ways to put more food on the table, pay the bills, just overall just make some extra cash. So that's what we're going to be covering today. Again, if you like this type of content, check out all my other videos. We have a lot of videos on side hustles. Subscribe, like, and share. We talk about investing, side hustles, and just making money in general. So that sounds like you. That sounds like something that interests you, which most people are interested in making money. Definitely subscribe. Definitely like and share. So the side hustle we're going to be talking about today is working for a hunting operation, mainly dealing with defeathering birds or skinning animals. So you might think, what the heck is this? What the heck is that? If you're not familiar with it. Basically, we call them bird boys. So for those of y'all who don't know, I used to have a small hunting operation, and when the time would come, because the season's mainly in the fall or about the fall, a lot of hunters come out, but sometimes the hunters don't want to go out and pick up their own birds when they dove hunt. So what they do is we would hire out kids, usually high school kids or people that just graduated high school, to come out and help us during the busy time and help the hunters by picking up the birds, defeathering them, and getting them ready for the hunters to eventually eat. So how this kind of works is basically we'd have kids, younger kids. Give me a second. So how this basically would work is that the kids would come out here during the busy season, and the hunters were in charge of basically paying them or tipping them. A couple years when we first started was a little bit different than when we kind of towards the end. We basically just had the kids come out here, and the hunters would already know how much it's going to be, at least at minimum, to hire a kid to come out and be a bird boy to help defeather the birds, pick up the birds, etc. Typically it was between 50 to 60, 70, 80 bucks, kind of depending. Sometimes some of our more experienced people were like $100 to have a bird boy who was a little bit more experienced, a little bit faster, kind of understood how everything operated. And usually for the ones just starting out, it's $50. And again, it's usually not even half a day. It's usually a couple hours that they are out there, because it starts to get dark, and usually not, the fish are out there jumping, but you're usually not out there all day. Usually it's a morning hunt and an afternoon hunt. That's usually how the hunting season is kind of broken up to, at least for dove season. So it's good money, it's good money. But on top of that, I would say a high percentage, probably 90%, maybe 85% of the hunters would actually tip our bird boys. So the tips that these kids would receive was actually pretty well. Usually it was like an extra pay, basically. So if they were charging $50, they would usually get another $50 tip, turn into $100. The guys that were getting like 100, a lot of the times it was an extra 100. So they would usually double however much they were going to be getting paid on average. Again, that's not every single time, but that's on average. People are usually pretty generous. So yeah, it is pretty good money. Now, real quickly, what do these kids have to do when they come out here, right? For people who are not familiar with what it entails coming out here and doing this kind of work, typically you're just sitting around waiting for doves to fly by. If the hunter happens to actually hit a dove, then you would actually get up and go and walk, get the birds, and kind of just put them in a safe area. You usually have a bucket or a sack, and just make sure the ants don't get to them. Ants are pretty bad around that time for dove season. After the hunt is over, it's already gotten a little bit darker. You usually come back to camp, whatever your camp is at, and you start defeathering the birds. Usually, not all the time, I'd say 50% of the time or so, 50 to 60% of the time. The hunters would usually help as well and clean up some of the birds, even though they are paying for it. A lot of them still like to help out and still like to be very generous in that way, as far as lending a helping hand, even though of course they are paying for this service. It kind of just depended. If they had like I would say a big group of guys, sometimes they wouldn't. They would usually go out there, be drinking some beer and kind of laughing and having a good time. But if it's usually a smaller group, I saw that usually they would kind of help out and kind of get together and all clean the birds a little bit faster, probably because they wanted to eat them already. Wanted to make it speed up the process. But that's usually how that side typically goes. Towards the end, I'll kind of tell you where you can kind of look for these types of jobs or side jobs. But another thing you can do is whenever deer season starts is you can also be a skinner or a butcher, whatever you want to call it. Basically, all you're going to be doing is quartering the deer or de-skinning the deer, depending on what you're specifically applying for or trying to do. But all it really entails is all you're going to be doing is skinning the animal, removing the hide, and sometimes you can pass it on to the next person. Sometimes you are the one who does the whole thing. Kind of just depends on how big the operation is. But all you're going to be doing is quartering and sometimes processing the deer as well, bagging it and getting it ready to take with the hunter wherever he or she is going. Sometimes you do have to ship them out as well, depending on how far the hunter is traveling as well. Those do pay more. There is, it's a couple $100 is what you will earn for doing something like that. Of course, you are dealing with a bigger animal as well. Now, as far as the dove hunting goes, it's very popular on Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays, obviously when people are off. If you're going to be doing this as a side job, you can do it Saturdays, Sundays, and maybe even Fridays. That's, if you're, a little bit more experienced, that's at least $300 of just straight pay for doing that on top of tips. So if you're earning $300, you can usually estimate another $300 on average, maybe between $100 and $300 in tips. So between $400 to $600 is what you can earn for a Friday, Saturday, Sunday side hustle doing this during the season. Now, the best thing about this is it's only going to be seasonal. If you don't want something long-term, you don't want to commit to a long-term job, this is probably a good one for you, honestly, because it's very seasonal. September is usually the busy time for this type of work, and kind of going into October. So if you like a small job without a huge commitment, this is something definitely to look forward to or to look into, especially if you like the outdoors, you like being around guns don't bother you, being around other guys, just, chit-chatting and bullshitting and things like that, then you're probably going to fit right in. To quickly talk about where you can find these types of jobs or side jobs, you can Google search for one. You can obviously Google search and look for hunting outfitters, hunting near me, etc. All these businesses are going to pop up. And just start reaching out to them. Hey, are you hiring anybody for, for dove season? Are you hiring any skinners, butchers, or anything like that? You may get a yes, you may get a no. Another one you can also do is follow some Facebook groups that are into hunting pages, and post on there, hey, this is my experience, this is what I'm looking for, is anyone out there hiring? You may get a hit that way as well. Another one is going to be going out to your Lowe's. There's a lot of people that buy deer corn, just anything hunting related. They have a lot of hunting stuff at these Lowe's Super S looking gas stations. Those are good places to target hunters, to find hunters or landowners who have these properties. Another one is going to be your tractor supply or feed stores. Also, a lot of farmers and ranchers attend and go to those places and are pretty regulars going in and out of those places. So that's another good way. Another way is also not only leaving your information at those places, but actually talking to the people that work at these feed stores and asking, hey, do you know any rancher looking for part-time help for the hunting season? That's another good way. Tractor Supply is another good one. They have usually a community bulletin board that you can always post stuff on. Just make a card with your information on there as well. And a lot of these small towns also, there's usually going to be only one convenience store, or not convenience store, I guess grocery store at these small towns that everyone probably has to go to. Another good place to target farmers and ranchers who have properties that have hunting operations and that may be willing to hire you on their property, because they all have to go out there and get food at some time, right? So without further ado, I hope you gained some value from this. I hope it was informational, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe on this video. Till next time, see you guys later. Be careful, be good, take care, God bless. Bye-bye.